Okay, so 2.4, section 2.4 is on capacity. And just so everyone knows, hello for one, but also this is my first time ever doing a screen capture. So you're going to watch me really butcher working with a electronic pen device, and I'm very sorry about that, but please know that you've got access to the real notes. They're just uploaded on the Google Classroom, hopefully next to this. Anyway, okay, so section 2.4 is capacity. So capacity, we're following through together. Capacity is the maximum amount. So it's referred to as the maximum amount that a container, oh, I just deleted my own writing, sorry, that a container can hold. And you guys will usually hear of it as volume, and we've already talked about it as volume. Okay, so volume is a more common way, but it's also called capacity. And in the metric system, as we've discussed, the base unit of capacity is the liter. Okay, so we had grams and meters, and the base unit now for volume is liter. And we also really frequently we use milliliters. Milliliters, I spelled that wrong, to measure capacity for smaller quantities, so ml. Okay, so 1 liter equals 1,000, milliliters, and that would make sense. I wrote that up really high, but that makes sense because if we go back to our conversion sheet, which hopefully you guys all have, going from a base unit, which is, I'll just write this on the side here, the liter, and then if we go down, remember you've got centi, and then, or sorry, you've got deci underneath, and then you've got centi, and you've got milli. And remember we were talking about the number of zeros, so if we have 3 zeros, that means we went down 3 steps, right? So 3 zeros equals down 3 steps. So that means we've gone from the base unit, which was the liter, sorry, I should have written that in, the base unit, which was the liter, and we have gone all the way down now, to the milliliter, okay? So another way that they talk about milliliters is also something called cubic centimeters, but more frequently we refer to them as cc's. You'll hear about that a lot in any kind of medical show. They're always talking about pushing cc's, so a cc is also a cubic centimeter. So in addition to 1 liter being 1,000 milliliters, you can also say that 1 liter is 1,000 cubic centimeters, okay? Because 1 mil is 1 centimeter, 1 cubic centimeter. So that's what cc stands for right there. Stands for cubic centimeters. Again, all of this is available online in the classroom as well. Okay, so now if we go down and we look at imperial units, which get even more silly because we have imperial units that the US uses, and then you'll notice that for some of the imperial units, it's going to be the British or the UK version of that unit. So there are different sizes in continuing silliness between a UK gallon and a US gallon. And you'll see in my notes I have put Y with a sad face. And I am very confused about why we must have 2 different sizes of a gallon. That's really bad sad face. Imagine he has better eyes. There we go. So a British UK gallon, if we're talking about liters, which we always should, is about 4.5 liters. And an American gallon is smaller. It's only about 3.8 liters. Okay? And gallons, how they price everything down in the States, like their gas and stuff. So you'll see on the screen we have options for also something called fluid ounces. So if we go back up, you'll notice we've also got quarts, we've got pints and cups, none of which, just like inches and feet and yards, have a normal way of converting between them. But It's a little bit better than inches, feet, and yards, okay? But all of this, again, we're just setting up the ratios like we did, and it's all available on your formula sheet, which you always have access to. So I did write down here, but you will always be given these conversion factors on quizzes and tests, even more so now, okay? So let's look at a couple examples. So for these examples, I do want to point out that it doesn't really matter. Oops, that's not how you spell doesn't. Do I have an eraser? Oh, I do. Amazing technology. It actually does not. It doesn't matter what is on the top and what is on the bottom. Typically, I would say put one of the bigger unit on the top and the smaller units that fit into the bigger unit on the bottom. But in this case, so I'm just gonna, what is on the top and what is on the bottom. The main thing is that your units have to match, okay? So units simply must match. Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, no, I erased it. Okay, so if we look at our first one, we are going from 525 mils, and we are going into, and why don't I change colors there? We are changing that into fluid ounces for the UK. Ooh, that's a big pen size. Let's make that smaller. Okay, so if we're setting up our ratio, again, doesn't really matter what's on top and what's on the bottom in this case. So I was given milliliters first. I'm just going to keep milliliters. But also really important is that, let me pick a different color here. It's really important that you write down your conversion factor, okay, because those are going to be different. So I'll use orange for my conversion factor. So I'm not always going to do this, but if I scroll up, I know, sorry, this is probably dizzying. I know I'm wanting to go from milliliters to ounces, UK ounces. So I'm going to look at my conversion sheet or at my notes, okay? So if I scroll up, milliliters to UK fluid ounces, the one that we want to use is this one here, okay? And I always like to, so this is for example number 1, I always like to make sure that I write that down on the side so that I don't forget, okay? So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to write out for myself just so that I know that 100, oh my gosh, that was, sorry, like I said, sometimes my writing is going to be brutal. Okay, try again. 100 milliliters, okay, is going to be equal to 3.52 fluid ounces, and it's important that you put UK in brackets because, like I said, this is extra silly and they have different US UK, okay? So we're going to go ahead then and set up our proportion. So again, doesn't matter which is on the top and which is on the bottom. They gave me milliliters first, so I'm going to put my milliliters on the top, okay? And I'm going to set up my proportion. That means I need to have my milliliters on the top on this side, okay? And I'm going to put my ounces on the bottom. But let's look at what they, so what do we start with? We start with what our proportion is, okay? Just finish setting up this proportion. Ounces, by the way, my Z's kind of look like backwards E's. Just, you know, okay. Hey, come up here and change color. There we go. Okay, so we're going to start with what they gave us, or what our proportion is, okay? So this 100 mils, yoink, that goes in here, okay? This is part of our proportion. 100 mils is equal to, as we know, 3.52 fluid ounces, okay? I forgot the FL, but that's okay. And then over here, we're going to look at what we were given, okay? So what we were given, 525, has to match up, and I already matched my units, and that means that what we're looking for, oopsies, is X, right? We're looking for X. This is how many ounces, and I might even put in brackets down here UK just to remind myself for my answer. Okay, so we're going to multiply our pair and divide our spare. Let's see, oh, I have a highlighter function. This is exciting. I do not want to highlight, oh gosh, in black though, because that sucks. Okay, so let's see what happens if I highlight the U. Yes, we're going to multiply our pair, okay, and then we're going to divide our spare. What color should spare be? Let's make, actually, you know what, we'll just make it yellow too, okay? So multiplying the pair, dividing the spare, so we've got, do it down here, 3.52 times 525. Now this is where it's really important. Remember I used to say there was always like divided by 1 or multiplied by 1 at the end, and I was like, you can just forget about that, but one day it will be important, and today is that day, okay? Because our spare here is actually 100, not a 1. So divided by 100, it's really important that you remember to do that, okay? You plug that into your calculator, you're going to end up with x equaling 18.48 fluid ounces. Really important that I add UK, okay? Alright, so x equals 18.48 fluid ounces. Alright, let's do another one. 6.1